Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 370 of the show with no name. I'm your humble host, Nick, and in today's episode, we're going to be back out at a little old farmer pioneer cemetery out in the middle of nowhere in Washington State. This cemetery goes by the name of the Whelan Cemetery. And this is my third and final part of this series that I have for you guys. And I have a couple interesting people to talk about in this episode today, so let's get into it. I'm going to start this episode off today talking about Jenny Judson. And she was born on April 16th, 1872 in Kansas. And she would pass away on July 9th, 1891 at the young age of 19. I found a story, or an article, if you will, on her death that's entitled A Sad Death. Died at Whelan, Washington, July 9th, after a lingering and painful illness. Jenny J., the youngest daughter of W.R. Judson, was just under 20 years old. The deceased was born in Kansas in 1871, but for some years has been a resident of Whelan, where her noble character and unassuming goodness had endeared her to all. Having been here for nearly 5 months, sick, confined to her room, as a patient sufferer, she welcomed her release to a better life. But her death has made desolate the home on earth to the bereaved parents and the brothers whom Jenny was such a true friend and companion. The sympathy of all is extended to the sorrowing family. Her father, William, is also buried here. He would pass away about 9 years later, and he was born in 1827 in Ohio. I'm not really sure the cause of his death, but I was able to find out that he was a Union soldier in Company A of the 36th Iowa Infantry. Marshall Tyrrell was born in 1820 in Ohio, and he would pass away in the year 1902, and his wife, Mary, was born in 1821 in Ohio, and she would pass away in 1902 as well. They both lived to be in their early 80s, and they immigrated to Washington State from Ohio at some point in their lives. I don't know much information about them, but I did find their headstone and a picture of them together. Heinrich Pope was born in 1863 sometime in Nebraska, and he would pass away on September 10th, 1921 in Colfax, Washington, and he was around 58 years old. I found an article that reads, Henry Pope dies. Funeral services for Henry Pope, age 58 years, who died at the hospital in Colfax Saturday, were held on Tuesday. Mr. Pope had been working in the harvest and contracted pneumonia. His wife, whom he's photographed with here, would live on for another 50 years after his death, and she would pass away somewhere else and be buried somewhere else. And her name was Catherine. last but not least, I'm going to talk about Allen Theodore Riley. And he was born sometime in August of 1832 in Ohio. And he would pass away on August 14th, 1910, at the age of 78 in Pullman, Washington. I found his obituary, and it was pretty interesting, so I figure I might as well read it to you guys. And it's titled, Allen Riley Killed by Kick of a Horse. Allen Riley, one of the oldest settlers of this section, was killed by a horse, which kicked him Saturday evening, and his death occurred at the farm home near Whelan on Sunday. Mr. Riley was 78 years old and had lived in this county and on the land where he died for 33 years. He is believed to be the only person in this neighborhood who has lived on his original homestead for that length of time. Mr. Riley came here from Kansas in 1877, having crossed the plains with a mule team. He took the homestead and never moved from it in more than 33 years. His family grew up there, and his sons and daughters are still residing in the Northwest. He leaves a widow, 2 sons, and a daughter. The latter, Miss Johnson Hull, lives in Spokane. 1 son lives in Idaho, and another in the Great Falls of Montana. He leaves a brother and 2 sisters.